Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps lots. And also keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are after market close on Monday, April 11th. We're going to take a look at SoFi. So SoFi clocking in another red day today. Tried in the afternoon to recover, as I'm sure you know by now, but certainly wasn't able to go red to green. No big surprise there, I don't think, in terms of how the market is moving and the pressure, the selling pressure that SoFi has been under for quite some time now. We do see it was wrestling more in the afternoon hours and into close with this 777 level that we had talked about. It's right where these candle bodies end up. You see the low on this candle body, 777, and the low on this candle body, 776, closed at 777. So that's proving to be sort of the right kind of, we had to split some wicks to come up with that level here, right? It was not quite the lowest low and not quite this 779 low of that candle, but we sort of took the middle ground there, and it seems to be proving out basically intraday. So, pretty indecisive candle here today. It is obviously closing below that 777, hasn't come down to want to quite touch that 739 yet. So we'll see if and when that happens, but I do still see that at the moment as the next level of support if it needs to test it. So that was a pretty, like I talked about in the last video, that took some doing to try to come up with that level. Not that it took a ton of time, but just sort of like, thinking of different ways to try to place support and resistance levels, for that matter, in areas where you're at an all-time low or an all-time high, where you're kind of in the midst of nowhere and trying to figure out how can I extend these levels in any logical way that could hold up. So 739 until it proves otherwise, and if it does, hopefully the way in which it proves otherwise will give us some understanding of the structure, and we can make some decisions at that point. But I'm going to leave that there for now. Obviously at this point, nowhere near this downtrend resistance that we've been talking about for a while, and really it's going to need to make a decision on this 777 level before it can really make any movement in any other direction. Now, it almost feels like unnecessary to pull in like these other indicators and such, because as you can imagine, though this hasn't always been the case, but the MACD bearish crossover, fresh bearish crossover now, believe it or not. So we'll see if that really like brings anything price action wise. Certainly at times it does, and certainly at times it doesn't. I haven't found it to be as sort of consistent in helping decipher price action and what to pay attention to. I haven't found it to be as consistent as the support and resistance levels and as the trend lines have been over time. So, that's why I just say like everything is obviously in a bearish formation, right? The EMAs, the MAs. So sort of why it then feels kind of silly to take a look at them and try to glean anything useful from them. But also because they've been sort of hit or miss for quite some time. So that's my diatribe on those things. So I'm going to pop over and talk about one other sort of correlating factor that I think we might want to pay attention to. But before I do that, let me just sort of reiterate my points of where I am at the moment. Pretty indecisive candle today. 777 support seemed to have been holding up on Friday and on Thursday. So I'm interested to see how that continues to play out. We could see a situation like this evolve, right, where the level that it was wrestling with, this 982, spent a couple of days wrestling with it, sort of gave it up, tried to come back, right? At this point, when it gave this 982 support up, it didn't come all the way down to 851, right? It made a pit stop here in the low nines, came up and just proved out the theory that the 982 had flipped to resistance, right? It puts in 2 days of resistance at that level in those candles, and then it does the big drop down to the next level. So I would just, be cautiously aware of that in this case. Obviously, I'm hoping that the inverse happens, right? That we drop down relatively quickly and put in this 777 supports, and now it's sort of wrestling with it. So my hope is that it wrestles with this, maybe for a day or two or something, and then is able to put in a proof of support at 777, and then try to make a run up to 851. Now I know that's foolishly optimistic at this point because there hasn't been any through thread of optimism for quite some time in SoFi price action. So I would just be aware of what's happening when it wrestles with this level. I'm sorry, I'm so bad with my words at the moment. I'm recording later than usual, and I'm just generally tired. But go back and study some of these areas where it had struggled in the past, and then what the next leg up or leg down looked like. Right here, you can see it struggling with the 851 level, and then it flips it to support, and then it clearly makes a run at the next level, right? So that was an attempted run up. But just see what it does when it's wrestling with these levels that seem to be holding up relatively well, because we're at one of those right now, 777. So look what it does when it's breaking up, and look what it does when it breaks down, so that you can try to decipher the price action in a way that gives you some insight into what could be happening. Nothing is 100%, but it gives us hopefully a better than chance opportunity to make an intelligent decision based on historical principles and the levels at which we're at. So that's what I would say on the price action. And you can see the levels there again. The level that we're at, 777, one level down as I see it, 739, though that really needs to prove out. One level up, 851, which I think is currently proving out pretty solidly. Now, the other thing that I want to share that I think is a correlating factor, flip over here to unusual whales, showing what the crypto whales are doing. And I think that the crypto correlation is pretty important because crypto has periodically really sort of led the charge in the markets recently, and especially with growth stocks. And so we see this big dip lately. Oh, I got a child who's awaking, so I'm gonna have to wrap this up. But we see the selling pressure that's pretty lopsided at this point. So just maybe keep an eye on what's going on in the crypto world, and just know that over the last few months, especially, we've really seen it sort of be the leading edge of what's going to then happen in the stock market, and certainly with these more speculative plays such as de-SPACed tickers and growth stocks and that sort of thing. All right, folks, I gotta run and go get this kiddo, but as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.